What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for another throwback review. I know it's been a little while since I've done one, but I'm actually challenging myself because lately I've been feeling like I listen to a lot of music, but I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of older stuff, and I'm pushing myself to do Throwback Thursday more than just once a month. I want to do it more often than that, and even if I don't always film a review, my goal is to always listen to at least one older album every week. It's going to be mainly things that I've been wanting to get to for a while now, even if I just listen to them like I said. And obviously the one that I'm talking about today has been an album that I've known about for a long time, I've on and off had a relationship with, but let's review Guns N' Roses' classic debut album, Appetite for Destruction. Even if you're not super familiar with rock and roll of the 80s and the 90s, I know you've heard the name Guns N' Roses, or at least Slash, Axl Rose, Duff McKagan. No, none of those names ringing a bell? Well, if that's the case, then I hope that you will check out this album, but for the rest of you, I know you're probably excited to see me talking about Guns N' Roses, assuming I don't think I've ever done that before. My exposure to the band just kind of fell into my lap in a weird way. I think it was 7th or 8th grade. I went to a Christian school, as most of you probably know, and I actually had a teacher that had a Guns N' Roses tattoo on her ankle. It was around there. It said GNR and it had the rose, and I was very like, what is this? We're not supposed to have tattoos. What is this? And I looked into it. Obviously, me and my friends were curious, and that was like the talk of the town. It was a new teacher, and she had this tattoo that we could see, but she never talked about, and we figured out that it was Guns N' Roses, and right around that time, I started playing Guitar Hero 3, and Sweet Child of Mine was on there, and I fell in love with the riff. It's just so beautiful, one of the best songs ever made in my opinion. From there, I checked out more of their singles, like obviously Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, and even It's So Easy, but they weren't songs that I was like drawn to all the time for a while. It was just something where I was like,
oh yeah, I know the music of the 80s, sure, of course I do. Yeah, hard rock, metal, yeah, right up my alley for sure. I know like 3 Guns N' Roses songs.
I don't think I heard the full album until like my senior year of high school, and whenever I did, I was very surprised about how open it was. It was just the classic sex, drugs, rock and roll of the 80s that everyone would always talk about, and like the bad influences that they had. Oh, they're talking about drugs. And they most definitely were. There's plenty of references to heroin, sex, women, the rock and roll lifestyle. It's gritty, it's raw, and it's a perfect portrait of the late 80s, early 90s in a way, and I love the majority of this album. It's a great example of just hard rock and a great voice paired together sounding fantastic. And while this isn't one of my personal favorite albums of all time, it's definitely deserving of the classic status it's achieved. Axl Rose has such a unique voice. I love his pipes, the way that he can really get down on Welcome to the Jungle, knees, and then It's So Easy, the way that he just wails at the end of that song. So fucking easy. He just lets it roll off the tongue, and it just sounds so pure in a way. He sounds so different compared to other rock vocalists. And many people over time say that he blew out his voice. He just doesn't sound as good. I would agree with that to an extent. I think he kind of lost his mind throughout the late 90s and the recording of Chinese Democracy that didn't finally come out until November of 2008. What a long process that was, and for fans, I'm sure that they doubted him for the longest time, but they're back out touring again with a lot of the original members, and things seem better than they have been in a while. Maybe the 50s, Axl's 50s that is whenever he actually finds his peace and actually continues to maybe make more music with Guns N' Roses. An absolute classic that cannot be overlooked on this album is Nightrain. I love the riff on this. It's so fantastic. I think Slash sounds great paired up with Duff's bass line on this, and also Steven Adler's drumming on this is fantastic. It really propels this song in a big way. It's got that big hook on it that's easy to sing along with, and it's a song about going out, getting drunk, and just stumbling around. It's the rock and roll lifestyle, and in a way, I feel like I get to look back through this lens, just paired up with the 80s, and it kind of transports you back to that time frame when everybody was different. Obviously, rock stars were different. And while a lot of the lyrical content on this album is kind of questionable at times, just the things that he's talking about and the way that he goes about it, it definitely was a different era, and not that it makes it excusable for some things, the way that he seems to approach women and drugs and that sort of thing. It's just kind of cool, I guess, to see what was going on in the mind of Axl Rose. It sounds badass through and through. There's so many instrumentals, although I will say it lacks a bit of variety. I wish that some of these songs had mixed it up a bit more. I love Sweet Child of Mine. Obviously, the riffs, the solo, the opening notes on that, it's ecstasy to the ears. Absolutely orgasmic whenever you listen to it. And then Rocket Queen, speaking of orgasms, yeah, he actually recorded himself in the studio, Axl Rose, having sex with a girl, and that's what you hear in the background of that song. That's been the subject to controversy, praise, and just suspicion over time, but I think it's kind of a cool move in a way because it's just so rock star. You drop that on them and we're like, hey, we're gonna go have a recording session. Okay, what are we recording today? Guitars? Drums? No, I think I'm gonna fuck this girl and we're gonna put it on tape. Cool. My Michelle is another menacing moment here. It seems like Axl Rose is telling this girl to get her life together, and he's describing how her life was up until this point, and it's just a breakthrough moment here, one of the more upbeat moments that I really enjoy. Obviously, Mr. Brownstone is another classic song on this album that I love. It's all about drug use, it's all about insanity, and the guys of Guns N' Roses were absolutely out of their minds on drugs in the late 80s, early 90s. They talk about their record producer right after they got signed to Geffen. He went over to their house and he said it was just barbaric. Welcome to the jungle. Yeah, sounds about right. Paradise City is still easy to clap and move along to. Sure, you've probably heard it one too many times, but there's no denying what a classic song it is. It's a staple for a reason. And towards the end of this thing, I love the moment Anything Goes. That's the final song that I want to mention, in fact. It's got such a good guitar structure to it. I have to praise Slash on this song because it stands out. It offers so much variety. It actually comes to life and just kind of jumps around in different sections. And the bass, the drums, they sound so great paired up against Axl's voice. Anything Goes is a reckless, dangerous song, and it captures everything that Guns N' Roses were all about. Some of these songs just don't have that punch that some of the others do. Like You're Crazy. I enjoy this song, but let's be honest, it's not doing that much differently than what a lot of rock at the time was. And all these years later, does it sound unique or fresh? No, not really in any way, and I'm not afraid to call out some of these songs that I don't like. I know some people will scream blasphemy, this is one of the best albums ever. I agree that classic is a term that applies to this record, but it's definitely not without its flaws. And another one of those would have to be kind of the Stain, Out to Get Me. I don't care for that song much at all. I don't like Axl's vocal approach, especially during the chorus, especially as that chorus plays multiple times, and the instrumental just feels a bit stale to me. And while most of the songs on this record, I would agree, are big standouts, a lot of them even being classics, like especially It's So Easy, Sweet Child of Mine, Rocket Queen, Anything Goes. There's big names like that, and then there's ones that just kind of pale in comparison. For me, overall, while this is an amazing album overall, a great hard rock metal record that definitely defined the generation that it was a part of and influenced so many different people. There's a few moments that I don't care for as much, but overall this is a very, very strong record, and I'm gonna give it a strong 4 out of 5. What do you guys think? Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you have heard it. Sound off your thoughts in the comment section down below. It's hard to think about, but this record came out, is it 30 years ago now? 30 years ago, 1987. Wow, that's tough to take in, but at the same time, time flies. They came out 4 years before I was born. Anyway, sound off your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know other throwback reviews that you would like to see, and other than that, please drop a like on the video. Thank you for watching the video, and I appreciate everybody who's been supporting me on Patreon. If you would like to join in on that and donate on a monthly basis to help videos like this keep coming, it's the top link in the description, or else you can tap the annotation in the corner. Another throwback review here, or a recent video here, socials in the description, and I'll see you very soon on ARTV.